So I understand you have a complaint before you in relation to the withdrawal from or the retirement of the Holden brand by General Motors. Are you able to give just a general update as to where the assessment of that complaint is at, please?
Certainly, Senator. It's James McGrath speaking. So we're in the middle of an investigation at the moment, looking into issues or allegations of unconscionable conduct and misleading and deceptive conduct levelled against General Motors Holden, so we are assessing evidence, assessing the complaints to see whether or not there is a matter that's actionable under the Competition and Consumer Act and the Australian Consumer Law.
You touch upon this in your submission, and one of the issues that we've faced through the inquiry with speaking to dealers privately, especially when speaking to dealers privately, is the reluctance and reticence of dealers to go on the record. And we had an exception to that, which was the dealer from Mr. Palmer from Inverell. Is this impacting or impacting on your inquiry? Because my observation is that the fear that is felt by the dealers is a serious fear, and it comes from decades of experience of dealing with the manufacturers. Is that something that you're able to try and address in terms of achieving an acceptable amount of evidence from dealers?
Yes, Senator. I can say that it's not unusual when dealing with investigations into conduct by franchisors or by large corporations generally that franchisees or suppliers to those organisations are often concerned or reluctant to go on the record and provide evidence that might require them to be named and come forward as witnesses, for example. So I can say this case is, not unusual in that regard. But what we find in matters such as this is that there are a range of parties. There are parties who don't want to go on the record but are willing to provide information that might assist our inquiries, and then there are those who are willing to also go on the record. So we face these issues time and time again when dealing with situations such as this, and this is no different. Hopefully that helps. I should say, of course, that I don't want to underestimate the challenges that causes us when it comes to bringing proceedings, when there is that perception of fear or repercussions that witnesses might believe they will experience, and it's a very difficult challenge to overcome as a regulator and enforcer.
My understanding is it was on your initiative that there was to be mediation between General Motors Holden and the Holden dealers. Why did you suggest mediation as a course of action?
Well, Senator, I just need to correct your understanding. We the ACCC didn't suggest mediation.
Okay.
Mediation was an option available to the parties under the franchising code and the dealer agreement.
Okay, thank you.
We simply ensured that sought that Holden engage in that process in good faith. That was our aim, was to have them engage in a process to which the dealers are entitled to trigger.
Okay. And you may not be able to comment on this, but what would the difference be between requiring fairness or preventing unconscionable conduct in terms of achieving sort of effectiveness of regulation? Is it your view that the proof of unconscionable conduct is too difficult to regulate sometimes given case law?
I think that's a fair summary of the ACCC's position, that the legislative bar, as determined by the court for unconscionable conduct, is quite high, and as a result of that, the ACCC believes there needs to be an unfair practices standard that may assist in bringing about outcomes for consumers and business that doesn't require the high bar that unconscionability has been held to.
Okay. I think I might have a couple more questions, but I'll hand back to you, Senator. Your investigation into the conduct of General Motors, how long do you think it will take, and when will it be concluded by?
Let me preface my answer, Senator, by saying that these investigations are quite involved and complex, and often it's hard to really judge how long it'll take to obtain evidence from those that are alleged to have engaged in the conduct or third-party witnesses. But with that caveat, we're certainly giving this investigation the highest of priorities and expect to have, at this stage, a public outcome this year. So either proceedings or an announcement that we haven't found any actionable conduct, but we're certainly hoping to wrap up our investigation this year.
Okay, thank you. And one final one, I'm sorry, Senator Faruqi. I just want to confirm, so General Motors, they are fully participating with your investigation?
They're definitely engaging with us, but we do have compulsory powers as well. So participation happens one way or another. If that helps answer your question.
It does. Thank you.